Here we go. It's time for Q&A. Q&A is the best part of Candid Creative. Q&A, Q&A,
Oh, yeah.
Q&A, Q&A, Q&A.
Q&A.
So today, part of our mini episode series, which if you guys haven't noticed, we've changed up our format a little bit for a Candid Creative Podcast, where we're now doing a full episode and then we're doing a mini episode so that we're not just talking your ear off, you know?
It makes our lives easier.
So now we're answering questions every other week that you guys submit to us on Candid Creative Instagram and or through our website. So if you have any questions or anything you guys want us to talk about, submit. And we'll probably be posting once a week asking for your guys' submissions. So we have a couple that we're going to go through in this little miniature episode here. Let's dive in. Q1. Do you feel like you need to show your face on social media with higher end clientele?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Well, I will say that we did a few episodes on branding with your face or keeping it more just business oriented. And so I would go listen to those. But my answer here would be, I think it's always helpful to show your face in today's world because there's so many businesses, there's so many shortcuts to creating a brand that looks beautiful. And so as in like templates, Canva, AI, all these things. And so there's so many businesses that I think look professional, but I think that your personality, the way you present yourself is an excellent way to set yourself apart in a way that no one else can copy. So I would say yes. What would you say, Amanda?
Yeah, exactly. We've talked about this a little bit before in our previous episodes, but I do think showing your face and your personality is a way to quickly differentiate yourself from your competition, essentially. That said, I think if you're trying to attract a higher end clientele or you're trying to attract luxury market or anything like that, for the most part, you're probably not doing that in your first year. And I would say your first couple years are usually spent establishing your brand. So no matter who you're trying to attract, you're trying to establish what makes you different and what your niche is and what your brand is. And so like we've talked about in previous podcasts, showing your face is a really good way to like expedite that process. I think if you're already in the industry and you have an established brand, if you're trying to break into a higher clientele or the luxury market, I don't think showing your face is necessary at all. I don't show my face at all on Main Co-Creative. I don't show... I really just show inspo, like would probably be the most personality that I show on social media is like what I'm inspired by or other posts that people have done that I really like or whatever. But I don't show any of my personal life. I don't show any of like my face really. Sometimes I do a little bit of behind the scenes, but that's kind of it because I think that a higher end clientele or a luxury clientele really is more focused on your experience and your style and your work, your portfolio, than they are concerned with like you as a person. It definitely, in my opinion, becomes a little bit more transactional, financially speaking, as you break into like a higher end market and less about like personalities 1000% needing to mesh together. I've definitely worked with plenty of clients who like are totally different people than I am, but they love my work and respect my work. And obviously I respect them as people. And so we work fine together. So I think if you're already in the industry and you have an established brand, I don't think that you need to like show a ton of your face in order to attract a higher end clientele. But I think if you're just starting out your business, then yeah, it's definitely a way to expedite establishing your brand.
Mm-hmm. And I want to clarify when I say I do think you should show your face. I don't mean by like creating reels that are you pointing at in air and then making words pop up, like nothing silly, but something, that aligns with who you want to attract. So you're right. What you're saying checks out, Manda. I just looked at your Instagram page. I feel like I've seen you a lot on there though. So maybe those are just posts that stand out to me because when you post like your team or they're like, you don't post like unprofessional photos on that, but you do have professional photos, not recently, but I do remember them being mixed in.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that again, what you're saying is so true. Like it has to do with how many people already know about your brand, how many referrals, like your referral machine you have going on, how many clients are already talking about you. That is enough kind of proof for people to book you.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Okay. Q2. Should I try to get on a call with every inquiry right away? What do you think?
Let's hear what you have to say.
Oh, okay. So I think, yeah, I mean, I think I have the way that I have set my inquiry form up and my website up is essentially by the time you get to my inquiry form, you should really know if you're a good candidate for my services. And that is because I have, like a minimum suggested budget. I have on my actual inquiry form where it says, what is your budget? The lowest option you can choose is my minimum. And that's like, and I only talk about the budget situation because that's a huge factor that plays into whether or not I'm a good fit for you because of our pricing. So by the time someone sends me an inquiry, for the most part, I would say 90% of those people I do want to get on a call with right away because that's where I think you can probably hold the best sales strategy is like through an actual call where you can explain your processes and you can connect with their story maybe a little bit more, actually make like a personal, authentic connection. So yeah, I think if you think they're a good lead, if you don't think they're a good lead or you're still trying to suss out the situation, then that's a different story. But if you think that whoever writes you is a potential lead, then I would definitely say try to get on a call right away.
I mean, I think it depends on what you are doing. Like, are you a planner? Are you a florist? Are you a photographer? Are you a graphic designer?
For sure.
Whatever. I don't think my personality helps me book people. So
and you have to be self-aware. That's a really good point.
I don't hop on a call.
Yeah.
I don't because I can either make people will love me or they won't choose me because something about my demeanor, because I know I have a personality of sorts. I don't know. It's not for everyone. So hopping on calls gives me a lot of anxiety, which is probably part of the personality part that they're feeling is me trying to be comfortable and natural.
Right.
So I will say that my system that I created that worked, well, first of all, I was working with planners. So a planner has an entirely different job of vetting their clients. And then anyone the planner hires is being given a gift from them if they hire the vendor, because it's so much easier, so much more streamlined, so much less, I don't know, it should feel easier.
Exactly. So
my process involves getting the inquiry, sending one email to make sure they're not going to ghost me. So I just ask like a super simple question. They respond. So it might be like, I don't know, just a detail I'm curious about the wedding. That's easy for them. Like, how many bridesmaids do you think you'll have? Or I got your inquiry form. I'm creating an estimate and mood board. Quick question. How many bridesmaids do you think you might have? Just a guess. There's so many times people won't answer if you're getting crappy inquiries because they just send out a slew of inquiries and they're probably like drinking wine.
Yes.
Really excited about their engagement, watching a movie, and they're like, I'm just going to send out some inquiries, get this going. And then the next day at work, they're like, period starts and their coworker annoys them. And then they get in a fight with their fiance and they're like, screw this, I'm not doing this right now. And then you'll just not hear from them because they're not ready.
Right.
It's a long example, but I feel like this happens all the time. Like, this is why people get ghosted a lot of the time because they're just excited. So if they can't send me an answer, then I'm definitely not going to try to plan a call. If they do send an answer, I create an estimate and a mood board. And generally they book from there without a call. So that's my system.
And that's actually, honestly a really good point. And I should have started with that. It really does depend on what you do and what you're trying to sell. And if a planner reaches out to you versus someone else. And though also, okay, so from a coaching perspective, if you're just selling coaching, because I've had people ask this too, if they can like get on a discovery call before hiring me for coaching. And I'm like, that sort of doesn't make a lot
you want me
of
to coach you.
sense.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
I like that though. Savvy.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're doing
Coach me
here.
for 30 minutes and I'll see if I want to hire you.
Exactly. But yeah, so I do think, and then I do think you have to know your personality type, which is something that I say a lot. And that's actually something that I think goes into whether or not you show your face on social media, because I think some people know that they have charisma or the personality type, or they're more comfortable in front of a camera, they're more comfortable on a phone call or talking to people or whatever. And you have to know that about yourself too. And if that's not where your strengths lie, then figure out a different way to convert.
Yeah. I also think that if your job is to actually be with a client during their wedding, then obviously you have more to talk about.
Exactly.
For florists, I'm like, it's all visual. Just show me what you want. Like, we don't really have anything to talk about. I will deliver the flowers you want. Obviously, I'll answer. If they're like, can we get on a call? Yes, but I just don't suggest that we do.
Totally. That 1,000% makes sense. I very much agree. Okay, number 3. Should we send thank you gifts to planners who hire us? This is probably from a florist perspective.
I mean, I will say that would never hurt. I was like kind of staunchly against it when I started my business, because I was like, that shouldn't be necessary. Like, you should hire me because you want to work with me. But then as I became a more aware business owner, I was like, that's a way to warm up someone. I mean, it's a way to show appreciation. It's a way to set yourself apart. Like, no, I don't think planners should only hire people who give them gifts, but it sure as heck doesn't hurt. So get your ego out of it is my real response there.
Yes.
And I'm not someone who has sent like gift baskets and stuff, but you know, I have been like, okay, I just made this flower arrangement. I know where this planner works, and I drop it off at their doorstep or something like that. Or you can send gift baskets. So that's my response, is it sure doesn't hurt.
My thought is I fully agree with all that. I don't think it's like necessary. I don't think it's a requirement. That being said, if anyone just were to give you $12,000 to your bank account, would you not at least say thank you?
Yeah. Would you not think of them first next time you can send something that, I mean, it's called, what is it called? It's called building goodwill. That's what it is. Or it's called reciprocity, where you're like, it's natural when someone receives something that's valuable and special to them that they then naturally want to do the same for that other person.
Totally.
So it's like, why not?
Yes. And I do think, I mean, to your point, just be really good at your job, just deliver and like do what you're supposed to do. And to be honest, for me, that's enough. But yeah, do I think it hurts to, I mean, I've sent gifts. I've had a photographer recommend me for a really huge job before, and I for sure sent him like a $300 gift card to somewhere that I knew he liked, you know? I mean, I just think it's a great way to show appreciation if you want to, but I 100% don't. I don't think any planner is like, well, that's not true. There's probably a lot of planners out there who expect it. I don't expect it. I don't think it's like a requirement by any means, but I also don't think it hurts. So if you feel like you might want to and you think you should, maybe try it out, see how it goes, see if that planner ends up booking you for 10 more jobs. I
don't think I gave you a gift, but I did send you all of my marketing knowledge anytime I learned anything new.
Your friendship is enough of a gift for me. Okay, number 4, this is the juiciest one, is how do I break up with my business partner? Dun, dun, dun.
Well, I mean, this is the only partnership I've had in business other than my husband. Hello. But I do feel like people have to be really careful about partnering up. Like, I had a friend recently who wanted to start an online membership for fitness, and she's like, I'm kind of overwhelmed. Like, I know this other girl who kind of wants to do the same thing. We're thinking about like maybe do it together. I'm like, no, this should be like finding your husband or your wife.
Yes.
Like, this needs to be like a carefully selected person that you've known and that you know how to communicate with. And even then it goes
awry
south every time.
Yes.
100% of the time.
Yep. I think I'm For someone who has 2 businesses with 2 other people, I'm very against business partnerships, to be honest. I think that, I just think that they're a recipe for disaster, to be honest. I think most of the time, unless personalities combine perfectly, if there's no ego,
that's impossible.
It is. I mean,
you have to be with someone who's willing to work with you on, it's like literally like a marriage.
Yes.
And that's the only reason it's worked between Brian and I, is because like we're married, like you have to do work. You have to figure out, okay, I want to murder you right now. Let's figure this out so I don't want to murder you again.
But also it's in a lot of ways, it's almost harder than even that, because my partnership with Johnny is like, we're in this together no matter what. Okay. So to a point when you're like with your partner in life, you can act certain ways and that person will love you and forgive you through it. But in a business partnership, it's not like, almost you're not required to love that person despite any of their faults, like,
right.
I mean, I guess in a perfect world you would, but I don't want to say like, I can't treat you the way I treat Johnny, but like, honestly, if I have a shit day and I take it out on Johnny, which I would feel terrible for, and I would for sure apologize afterwards, but he would say like, it's my job to support you in that. And so I'm still going to love you and then we'll talk through it, whatever. As a business partner, it's not my job to support you on your shitty days. You know what I mean?
Right. And to hold space for like your lack of ability to communicate and whatever
or do
else.
Your job. Or also as a business partnership, like if you literally don't do your job, then I can't do mine. Like it fails. So you also have to come at it with like a mutual respect and wanting to see the other person succeed and not having the pride to where, I mean, no one likes criticism, but if you were to write me and say like,
steam your curtains.
Yeah, steam your curtains. Exactly. If I wanted to, I could get super butthurt about that. But also I have to keep in mind, like, we're on the same team. You're not being an asshole. You're just telling me something that will make our business better. Or so you don't have to get butthurt. You can just ignore me. Right. As I have.
I honestly don't care. I just think it's hilarious. It's like our only critique I've ever given. So I'm just going to keep bringing it up.
When I put these are different curtains. And when I put them up, I was like, oh, I have time this morning. I'll steam these and Alyssa will be really happy about it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to steam them.
Because that Alyssa isn't actually going to get butthurt about them either.
Exactly. You also have to bring like a lighthearted, and you have to be able to take criticism so much better and in such like a quicker form. And I feel I was just chatting with one of my good friends who decided to have a business partner, because I think so many people are like, I can't do this on my own, so I have to have a business partner to help me do this. And at the very beginning, I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. Like, figure it out. Or just hire someone if you want, like, hire someone to be that role. Yeah, you don't need to split a business 50-50 with them. And sure enough, 1 year into it, she was calling me like, how do I get out of this? I don't know what to do.
We haven't even touched on that. How do you get out of it?
I know. So how does one break up with a business partner?
We're just talking about ways to avoid this situation altogether. Don't get a business partner. Like, hire an assistant, hire a marketing person, hire a coach to help you get launched.
Yes.
But like, don't have a business partner.
Yes, probably don't, unless you like are so unbelievably on the same page, and potentially will be, because you also have to look at the future and what might change. But either way, if you are in that situation, you need to break up with someone. Honestly, I think the best thing to do is say like, here's what I'm bringing to the table. Here's what I need for our partnership to succeed. And here's where I feel like we are lacking. We, not you. Here's where I feel like we are lacking. Here's what I feel like needs to be better. If it can't be better, what are the solutions? The solution is literally you dissolve the company or one of you buys the other person out. And that's literally it. Those are your options if you have created an LLC with someone or whatever, is to either buy the other person out or dissolve dissolve the business altogether. But you have to really think too, if I dissolve this business, could I just start it on my own, like separately? And will that take longer? Maybe, but will it be maybe worth you not having to deal with someone who isn't holding up their end of the bargain? Probably, even if it took you 2 years. Like what are you doing with your time? So I unfortunately, like that's pretty much, those are the ways to break up with someone.
Yeah. And I would definitely look at it still as like the same as almost a relationship breakup, in that in doing it in the healthiest way possible, which in my opinion is basically, you can be thinking like volatile things in your brain, but they don't need to like come out of your mouth,
right,
and they don't need to come out in your behavior. What I would look at it as, truthfully, even though I might feel annoyed still, is just like, it's not my job to change you. There's not necessarily something wrong with you. We're just not aligned on how we want to go about this, and that's fine. Like I'm not saying like there's something wrong with you. I'm just saying like we're not on the same page. This would work better if you were with someone who's on your page.
Yeah.
And if I was with someone on my page, and we just aren't, and that's fine. We don't have to be the same. But like we learned, we should probably just part ways so that we can do our own things without feeling like we're pressuring each other, holding each other back, whatever it is. Yep. That's probably how I would communicate it.
Yep. Totally. Agreed. But if you can, just avoid it.
Yeah. Just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Unless you want to do a podcast and it requires you to have someone to talk to.
We really like each other, and that's all we have going for us right now. Just kidding.
Please review us if you liked this. Please review us 5 stars if you did not like it. Please review us 5 stars if you did like it. Please review us 5 stars if you have zero emotions about it.
You feel neither.
And if you don't like it, you can make a Reddit thread about us.
Feel free.
Make Amanda's nightmares a reality.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. Okay. Well, this has been fun. Till next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.